everybody. Welcome to the Life in Christ webinar of the Order of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Mercy. My name is Kevin Banet, and our guest today is Father Justin Freeman. He is a priest of the Order. It's the Order of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Mercy, and he is a Mercedarian friar in the U.S. And this is an order that sees as its spirituality, or we say charism, the redemption of Christian captives from various forms of slavery. So it's an imitation of the redemptive love of Jesus Christ. And they've been around for 800 years, and they're in different parts of the world, all over. Very big in Latin America. And in the United States, they're in 4 states: Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, and Florida. And so welcome, Father Justin. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Thank you, Kevin.
Okay, we're going to talk.
Be here.
Yeah, good. We're going to talk about Father Justin's life, his work, especially with a hospital, work as a hospital chaplain. And that's one way the Mercedarian friars minister to the people out there, and it's a redemptive kind of work. It's not an easy job, but it's very important. And so, first of all, Father, I'd like to ask when you were ordained and when you were received into the order and professed. If you could give us a little background and where you came from.
Yeah, I'm originally from Virginia. I grew up in a small town in Virginia up until high school, and then my parents moved to the DC suburbs. And I went to college. I studied political science. I got a undergrad degree, and then I worked for a lobbying firm for a year in Washington, D.C., and then I went to grad school, and then I joined the order in 2004. And then I made my postulancy year 2004, 2005. I was professed in 2006. Yeah, I made my simple profession in 2006, and then ordained a priest in 2011.
Okay. All right. Very good. And so, Father, you are one of the about 24 priests throughout the U.S. who minister
correct.
in parishes, prison work, hospitals, various kinds of work. And so now, please tell us what's involved with your work as a chaplain, where you minister. I think you're in Cleveland, I believe, and just let us know what is your main job as a chaplain.
Okay, yeah, I'm currently the Catholic chaplain of a large inner city hospital here in Cleveland, Ohio. I'm the priest chaplain of a hospital called Metro Health. It has about 900 beds, and it's a level 1 trauma center. Level 1 trauma center means that all of the most serious cases of traumas from the area, maybe within 75 to 100 mile radius, will come to this hospital. So we see all the serious car accidents and shootings and boating accidents and the like. They're all sent directly to that hospital from other hospitals or from the scene. And so about maybe a quarter of the patients of the hospital are Catholic. So you have a very heavy load every day. I get a list of Catholic patients every day, and typically there's between 130 to 180. So between 130 to 180 Catholics every day. And we have eight intensive care units. So we have a burn unit, a burn intensive care unit. We have 2 trauma intensive care units. We have a pediatric intensive care unit, a medical intensive care unit, a neuro. Yeah, I'm the chaplain of a large county hospital here in Cleveland. There's about 900 beds, multiple IC intensive care units, and a level 1 trauma center. Typically, there's between 100, maybe 120 to 180 Catholic patients on the list every day, and about a quarter of the patients are Catholic in the hospital. So it's a very, very big job. And at this particular hospital, you see the worst cases. You see the worst traumas and the worst illnesses. The medical intensive care unit it has a mortality rate of about 20% to 25%. So 1 in 5 people who enter the medical intensive care unit do not survive.
So, Father, you're talking about the intensive care unit that's in the emergency room?
Medical intensive care, yeah.
Yeah. So are you going into that? Do you go into that emergency room now and then?
The emergency room?
Right.
Yeah. I go in. I try to just go in and into the ED. I try to go in whenever I'm called into the emergency department, and if there's a and if I see there's a big trauma or someone is actively dying, I monitor the computers on a consistent basis all day long, so I know minute by minute what is happening in the hospital. So if there's a serious trauma that's in the hospital and the person's listed as Catholic, I'll go. But usually I don't make the rounds in the ER because the ER is so big. There's about 150, maybe 200 rooms in the ER, and so this is not enough time to round the ER. So I mostly round the inpatient units in the hospital.
Okay, so then you're going mainly on the other floors, and So tell us, what is a typical day in your life? Do you go there for the whole day, or you go there 5 days a week, or what?
I come in about 8 o'clock, maybe 8:30. I come in, and then I just look over the list. I see who's in the hospital, who has passed away. I look particularly at the newly admitted patients in the ICUs, make sure that I visit them first of all. And so I look at the list, I look at the computer, I just make a game plan as to who I'm going to go see first and what I'm going to do. And I look to see if there's any people that have asked to see a priest, and I make sure that I see those first of all. And then, and so I get my list, and then I get the Blessed Sacrament from the chapel. And then I go and I visit I begin in the intensive care units. And that typically takes my whole morning, visiting the intensive care units. So I try to visit all the newly admitted patients in the intensive care units, and also those ICU patients who desire to see a priest. And so I in the mornings, I devote my time mostly to the ICU. And then after lunch, I'll go and I'll visit the units. So I'll go and I'll visit the other inpatient units. And again, I see maybe 40 to 50 people a day.
So what kind of how do those people receive you? I mean, are they appreciative of your visit, and do you say prayers over them, or counseling, or just what?
Well, a lot of it depends upon where they are in their relationship with God. A lot of it depends upon how sick they are. There's a lot of factors at play. Sometimes people are extremely appreciative, and the fact that you visited them, even if you just visited them for a couple minutes, that made their whole day, and that made their day so much better.
Mm.
And sometimes people will even come back to the church, or even come back to confession after decades or years, just by you visiting them in the hospital. They recognize their mortality, or they recognize that they need to perhaps get closer to God at that moment. So you witness profound conversions a lot of times. And then on the other end, you see many people who are, dismissive. They say, "Oh, I don't need anything. Thank you for coming." They're really not interested, and that's okay too. So very very seldom do you get anyone who's outright rude or to you, but most of the time, I would say it's about 50-50. About half of the people are very appreciative and very happy that you visited, and the other half don't care.
Yeah. And then some of the people, they mark, when they go into the hospital, they mark down that they're Catholic, and they're actually not. Isn't that right?
Occasionally that happens. Yeah. More times than not, a lot. The people who are Catholic are not identified as such.
Okay. So
because of the traumas, when someone comes in and they're barely and they're fighting for their lives, the doctors and the medical personnel have to get a lot of information from them. And like their religious affiliation is sometimes at the very bottom. So sometimes actually the people are not identified as Catholic, but very seldom, maybe 2% of the people, it says they're not Catholic. But even those who are not Catholic, I've never had anyone be rude, and many times they appreciate you, even if they're not Catholic.
Yeah. Father, what do you find the most rewarding feeling or response that you have in your work as a chaplain?
I would say that the most rewarding aspect of it is to just be able to see people draw closer to God, and to see people really get the sense that God is important in their lives. When people are sick, and when people are many times it's an opportunity for them to reflect upon their lives and to reflect upon how they're living, and it's a time where they have to depend upon God all the more. It's a time where they have to be have to ask deep questions and ask themselves, what does God mean in my life? And so sometimes you see people coming back to God and coming back to the sacraments after many years. So like I had a guy once who he went to church, he went to mass with his wife and kids for about 50 years, but he was never baptized. And so he got in a very serious car accident. And he said, well, I better become Catholic now. And so I baptized him, and I confirmed him, and I gave him communion right there.
Oh, and my.
He died a couple days later. So.
Oh, my. Oh, that's a beautiful story.
But he raised his kids Catholic. He went to mass every Sunday, but he never converted.
So this was the opportune time, because if people wait too long, and it'll be too late. And you don't always get a chance like that to meet a priest right before you die. And so,
Yeah.
there is a phrase called a happy death. And of course, when you think of that, you think of St. Joseph. We pray to St. Joseph for a happy death, just as he had. So do people really have happy deaths? And what part do the sacraments play in that?
Yeah, I think, I've seen thousands of people die, hundreds or maybe even thousands of people die, and you can tell the difference in the people that have faith and those that don't. I am so edified so many times by the peace that many people have, by the faith that many people have when they're about ready to die. And I just wonder to myself, would I have faith like that? Many times they're not anxious or they're not worried about death, because they know that God is on the other side of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas other people whose faith is not as strong, you see a lot of fear and anxiety and worry at the end of death. So I think there is a good death, and a good death is being at peace with God and being at peace with yourself, and being at peace with your family and your friends. And a lot of times, death or dying, it's an opportunity to kind of reconcile with people, to make amends.
Have you seen that happen, like with family members, and have you acted as the go-between person with the family?
Not a whole lot, but I've seen it happen before. Yes, I've seen people reach out to their family members whom they have not spoken to in decades or years, and say, I'm not going to be around that much longer, so I better make peace with my loved one.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Also tell us about how the work of the chaplain fits in with the Mercedarian charism. In other words, redemptive love, love that offers up oneself to redeem another from captivity.
Well, the Mercedarian charism is, the Mercedarians seek to imitate Jesus the Redeemer, and that the early documents of the order, they talk about how Christ came and visited us who were captive to sin, and then redeemed us. And really, that's what you do when you're visiting people in the hospital. You visit, and you seek to be God's instrument of redemption. You visit them, and they're, being sick is a form of captivity, literally and figuratively. When you're sick, you're captive to the hospital. You can't go out and do what you want to do. You can't be with your family and friends and loved ones. You're disconnected from your community, and so being sick is a form of captivity, and it's a captivity that can cause us to lose our faith, because we can become despondent, we can become worried and anxious, and lose our faith in God. And so but you go and you visit the people, and you bring them the sacraments, and the sacraments are the presence of Jesus. It's a way, the sacraments are the means that Jesus continues his ministry and his presence among us. So particularly the anointing of the sick, and the anointing of the sick, it has, one of its effects is to it has a communal and an ecclesial effect. It reminds people that they are not alone in their sickness and their illness, that God is with them, and that the church is with them, praying for them. So the oil that you use when you the oil of the sick. It's one of the three oils that's blessed at the chrism mass. It's blessed by the bishop, and the bishop is the head of the local church, and he represents both the local church and, in a way, the universal church. And so, even the symbolism of the oil it reminds people that that the whole church community is with them and praying with them and praying for them, and that is it's a reminder to them that God is with them.
So, how many anointings would you say do you administer in a week?
I would say between 10 and 25 a day.
Oh, really? 10 and 25 a day?
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're dying right at that moment, right?
No, you don't have to be dying. You have to be, you have to be seriously ill. But like I said, in the hospital, the hospital I work, we have 8 ICU, 8 intensive care units. So if this one Catholic is admitted into one of those ICUs a day, that's 8 people right there. I mean, no, they don't have to be actively dying at that moment. They just have to be sufficiently sick so that their life is in danger, or it has to be a major illness. It can't be the flu or the cold. And almost anybody who's in the hospital is sick enough.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, and now there are other ministers and chaplains who work in the hospital, aren't there? Can you? Yeah. And of course, they're not Catholic, and they're not necessarily Christian, isn't that right? How does that work?
Well, we have 5 other. The hospital employs 5 chaplains. They're mainline Protestants. They're all mainline Protestants. So they take care of the non-Catholic patients. They have a different ministry. Their ministry, their job is to minister to everybody, regardless of their religious affiliation, and so they try to help people with whatever spiritual path they're on.
Yeah, I see. So, Father, how does all this work fit into your own life? You were not always a chaplain, is that right? And so what other work have you done? What other assignments have you had within the Mercedarian order?
I was a chaplain for the first 5 years of my ministry. And then I worked in parishes for 5 years. And then I came back to Cleveland from Florida to resume being a hospital chaplain.
Okay. So in Florida, were you a parish priest?
Yeah. I was an associate pastor of a large parish down in St. Pete Beach, Florida.
Okay. So how does that's certainly a variety of experiences, and
it is, and that's one of the beautiful things about being a religious priest is you have a variety of different ministries and that you can choose from. Many times as a diocesan priest, you're going to be 90% chance you're going to be working in a parish, and that's very beautiful, and that's very needed. The parish is a foundation of Catholic life, and so it's very important. But as a religious priest, you can do a variety of different ministries. You can work as a chaplain. We in a prison or hospital. You can teach. You can engage in formation. guide young men who are entering the order. You can work in a parish. You can work in a parish part-time and work in another ministry part-time. So there's a lot of opportunities as a religious priest.
And also geographically, there's a difference because if
Yeah.
you can be moved anywhere in the U.S. and I guess theoretically anywhere in the world, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. As a Mercedarian, you can be assigned anywhere within your province or even outside of your province if you have to.
And so the province it extends to Europe, doesn't it? Your province.
The United States, Italy, and India.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So have you gone to those places, Italy, in India?
I've been to Italy multiple times. I've never been to India.
Mm-hmm. So. Okay, all right. So, whereas a diocesan priest, pretty much they stay within the diocese, isn't that right?
That's right. Yep.
Although sometimes they train in Rome, I know, but
yeah, you can. Yeah, for studies, you can go outside the diocese, perhaps, or if you have a special assignment, you can go out of the diocese. But for the most part, your ministry is going to be confined to the geographic area of the diocese. So
yeah. So but you, on the other hand, a religious priest, I mean, you would. So you're in 4 states. So you've already been to Florida and Ohio.
New York. I've been to all 4.
Oh, really? You've lived and worked in all 4 states?
Yeah. I was in seminary in Philadelphia for 5 years.
Uh-huh.
I was assigned to a parish in Buffalo, New York. I've been assigned here in Cleveland, obviously, and I've been assigned to a parish in Florida. So I've lived in all 4.
How are people, the Catholics that you meet in one state compared to the other?
I just try to make wherever I live to be my home.
Yeah.
So, right now Ohio is my home, and I'm an Ohioan, and then if I get sent to Florida, I'm a Floridian. I just try to make wherever I am home. So.
And you see your own brothers in the Mercedarian order, the other ones in the other states every now and then, right?
That's right. We have a meeting every year, and we travel back and forth for various things to different houses. So yeah, we see each other quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Very good. Very good. So, So an order priest, priest of a religious order, travels. Also, you have a different, I guess you could call it, initiation process as compared to a diocesan priest, right? Can you? And by the way, we have about 4 minutes left, so that's plenty of time, I think. Go ahead and answer the question. How does that work? You mentioned postulancy and profession. How does that?
Well, if you're a diocesan, the diocesan formation is you have to get an undergrad in college, followed by, if you have an undergrad that's not seminary, you have to do 2 years of what they call pre-theology, which is like a pre-professional type program where you study philosophy and Greek and Latin, and a little bit of theology to prepare you for the theologate, to study theology, which is a 4-year program. And so it's going to be, if you enter without a seminary undergraduate degree, is about a 10-year program total for a diocesan priest. A religious order priest would be a little bit longer because in addition to the formal academic requirements, you also have to undergo the orders formation program. So it begins with a postulancy. Kevin Cush right there, he's a postulant. Hi, Kevin. And the postulancy is the very beginning. It's a period where you enter the order, and really it's a time of transition. It's where you transition from your old life to your new life as a religious. And that's typically a year, an academic year. And then after postulancy, you do a year, or in our order, you do a year of novitiate. You're a novice for a year. And as a novice, you wear the habit. You're addressed as brother. And it's a time to prepare you to make vows of poverty, chastity, obedience, and our fourth vow of redemption. Is a time of intense preparation. So you learn about prayer, you learn about religious life, you learn about the charism of the order. And it's just a time, it's like a year-long retreat, basically, where you just spend the whole year learning about God, learning about religious life and the order and the vows, and to learn really what you're getting yourself into, and to prepare you for your life as a religious. And then after you make vows, then you're sent to seminary if you're a candidate for priesthood, and if you're a candidate to remain a brother, then you're sent to studies,
right,
according to your interest and talents. And then
so Father, yeah, we have to wind it up, but yeah, so a person, you guys are all friars, but some are priests and others are brothers.
That's right. Yes.
Yeah. So, okay, well, thank you very much. I'm sorry we have to wind it up, but we've been talking to Father Justin Freeman of the Order of the Blessed Virgin Mary of Mercy about his chaplain work. And thank you very much, Father Justin. And we will be talking to you at some other time. And thank you, everybody else, for watching.
Bye-bye. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.